Before we begin, let me ask you something personal. Have you ever been hurt, not by what someone said, but by what they didn't say, by the silence, the absence, the deliberate forgetting? If that speaks to you, you're in the right place. This video isn't for everyone. It's for those of us who've lived long enough to know that not all wounds bleed and not all battles are visible. If you value inner strength over noise, if you believe in calm over chaos, if you've been through pain and want to rise without bitterness, then take a deep breath, stay with me till the end, and I promise you'll leave this video with more clarity, more power, and more peace. And if even one lesson speaks to your soul, please like the video. Subscribe to help us reach our first 1,000 Stoic-minded souls, and share this with someone who needs it today. Let's begin. Lesson 1. When forgetting becomes a weapon and why you don't need to fight back. I want you to imagine this. You once helped someone through the darkest chapter of their life. You didn't ask for recognition, you simply showed up. But then came the day when your own world fell apart and they didn't abandon you. They stayed, quiet, watching, not to help, but to witness. Later they told others about your collapse, not in concern, in satisfaction. Some people don't harm you with insults. They erase you, not loudly, but with deliberate silence. They don't say your name in rooms where you deserve to be mentioned. They forget your presence at the very moments it matters. This isn't forgetfulness. It's quiet warfare. A dear friend of mine once told me, "Not everyone who leaves you in pain is your enemy, but those who stay only to watch you fall, be careful. They're not spectators. They're collectors of your lowest moments." And he was right. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone does wrong, the harm is to themselves. Let it be." You don't need to retaliate to reclaim your worth. You don't need to scream, "That was unfair," because when you do that, you hand them the pen and let them write your story. A Stoic does not sink into the mud to prove a point. We rise in stillness and we speak with the quiet power of self-respect. You see, reaction is sometimes defeat in disguise. When someone triggers you and you lash out, you've given them control. But when you remain grounded, when you choose dignity over drama, you've won a battle few ever see. So what's the real revenge? Not applause, not vindication, but healing. Quiet, lasting, unshakable healing. You don't need to be remembered by those who chose to forget you. You only need to remember who you are. Have you ever felt deliberately erased by someone's silence? What did you do to reclaim your strength? Share your story in the comments. I read every word. If this resonated with you, like this video, subscribe to help us reach 1,000 thoughtful souls. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Lesson 2. They pretended to be you until you needed them to be real. Have you ever met someone who mirrored you? They laughed when you laughed, liked the things you liked, echoed your ideas back to you, and you thought, "Wow, we're so alike," until the day you fell apart and they vanished. No call, no message, not even silence with empathy, just absence. That's when you realize they weren't reflecting your soul. They were imitating your shine. They didn't walk beside you out of respect. They followed you to figure out how you walk so they could walk ahead of you one day. Epictetus warned us, "Be cautious with those who always agree. Not all harmony is honest." I once mentored a young man who adopted my style of teaching, my tone, even my way of framing the world. I was proud until the day he used those very tools to undermine me in a public meeting. Not to share a new insight, but to replace me. That was the day I remembered people don't always copy you out of admiration. Sometimes they copy you to compete with you. But here's the Stoic lesson. No one can steal your essence unless you give it to them. Your core isn't in your words, your method, or your appearance. It's in the reason you started walking this path in the first place. Let them wear your jacket. Let them borrow your phrases. They cannot duplicate your scars. They cannot fake your character. In a world obsessed with image, remember this: real strength is silent. It doesn't need to be recognized to endure. Keep walking, keep shining, without the need to prove anything. Lesson 3. The most dangerous people don't attack you. they make you doubt yourself. I once sat across from a woman in her late 50s, strong, self-made, a respected leader in her field. She looked me in the eye and said, "I'm starting to wonder if I ever really mattered." I asked why. She said, "Someone close to me told me, 'You've done well. Maybe you just got lucky.'" Just one sentence, light as a breeze, but it stayed with her like a storm cloud. That's how manipulation works. Not always through aggression, but suggestion. Not insults, but seeded doubts. Toxic people don't need to yell. They plant small questions, half smiles, passive praise. They say you're amazing for your age. You handled that well? I didn't think you would. You're doing great. But don't get too confident. And suddenly your faith in yourself starts to erode, not from the outside, but from within. They don't want to break you. They want you to break yourself. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." But what happens when someone helps shape that imagination? What happens when they train you to second-guess your strength? Here's what a Stoic does. They see it. They don't absorb it. They return the weight not with anger but with clarity. You don't owe anyone proof. Your life is not a courtroom. Let your actions speak and let silence carry your dignity. When someone tries to make you feel guilty for simply protecting your peace, walk away. When someone twists your quiet into weakness, stay quiet and keep rising. The strongest people don't argue with shadows. They walk into the light and keep going. Has anyone ever given you a compliment that left you feeling smaller instead of stronger? Tell us in the comments. Let's break the cycle of subtle harm by speaking truth. Your support helps us grow this community. Like this video, subscribe, and help us reach 1,000 people who value inner strength. Send this to a friend who deserves clarity. Lesson 4. The joy they find in your pain and the power of rising. Anyway, let me ask you something. Have you ever shared your pain with someone hoping for understanding and instead felt a subtle satisfaction in their response? They didn't say it, but you saw it. A flicker in their eyes. A pause that lasted just a second too long. That quiet, hidden joy that you were finally the one falling apart. I call this the cruel smile behind the mask of empathy. It doesn't come from strangers. It comes from people you once called friends. The ones who always seemed to be there but never truly helped. The ones who ask, "How are you doing?" but don't really care about the answer. Their comfort isn't about healing you. It's about being the witness to your weakness. Because when you fall, they feel stronger by comparison. Seneca warned us, it is more noble to forgive than to avenge. But before forgiveness comes awareness. You need to see the pattern for what it is. You're not imagining it. Some people thrive when others shrink, because it makes them feel taller. These are the ones who remember every moment you stumbled, but forget every moment you stood tall. They replay your failures like a highlight reel, never your strength. Not because they hate you, because your light reminds them of the light they never built for themselves. So what do? You don't fight them, you don't explain, you rise in silence. Because here's what they can't stand: that you can hurt and still grow, that you can cry and still move forward, that you can fall and still choose grace. Your rising is not just recovery, it's your reply. And when you do it without bitterness, without vengeance, you become untouchable. So let them watch. Let them whisper. Let them pretend to care. Your strength is not in proving them wrong. It's in proving to yourself again and again that you are stronger than what tried to break you. Lesson 5. The art of guilt tripping and how Stoics walk away from it. There's a subtle art to manipulation. It doesn't always come in the form of yelling threats or accusations. Sometimes it comes in a sigh, a disappointed look, a quiet comment like "You've changed. You're distant lately. I guess you're too busy for me now." And suddenly you feel guilty for doing what? Setting boundaries. Protecting your peace. Choosing growth. Welcome to the world of emotional control, where silence becomes evidence and distance becomes betrayal. It's a game, one designed to keep you small, obedient, reactive. But you're not here to play that game. A Stoic sees this clearly. They understand you are not responsible for the emotions others invent to control you. You don't owe anyone your energy. especially when that energy is constantly siphoned by guilt, shame, and subtle manipulation. Let me share a moment from my past. A colleague of mine, someone I had supported for years, once said to me, "I miss the old you. You used to care more." What he meant was, I miss when you didn't have boundaries. I miss when you said yes to everything. I miss the version of you I could control. But I didn't argue. I smiled and said, "No, I still care, just differently now." The Stoic path doesn't demand that we explain ourselves to everyone. It invites us to live with intention. If your silence makes someone uncomfortable, it's because they were addicted to your noise. If your boundaries offend someone, it's because they benefited from your lack of them. Walk away, not out of anger, but out of clarity. Not everyone deserves an explanation. Not everyone gets access to your peace. Protect it, and let guilt slide off your shoulders like rain on stone. Have you ever been made to feel guilty for protecting your peace? Let's talk about it. Comment below and let others know they're not alone. Help this message reach more people. Like this, if it helped you subscribe, we're aiming for 1,000 strong, wise, grounded individuals. Share with someone who's reclaiming their boundaries. Lesson 6. The imitation game. When they become you to undo you. Have you ever noticed someone copying you down to the way you speak, your expressions, your ideas? At first it feels flattering. They say imitation is the sincerest form of praise, but over time it begins to feel invasive. They start presenting your ideas as their own. They try to become a better version of you, more polished, more acceptable, more applauded. And then they use it against you, not to grow with you, to outshine you. This is a deeper level of betrayal, because it's not just your identity they borrow, it's your trust they betray. Epictetus taught, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." When someone copies your outer form, they're chasing applause. But the Stoic knows what makes you. You can't be imitated, because your voice wasn't built in a day. It was built through sleepless nights, heartbreak, failure, growth, silence. It was shaped by pain and polished by time. They can copy your words, but not your wounds. They can wear your tone, but not your truth. So don't chase them. Don't try to reclaim what they borrowed. Let them have the shadow. You have the substance. And in time, the world will know the difference. Because real character reveals itself not in a speech, but in a storm. Let them perform. Lesson 7. They watch you fall, but your silence is the answer. There's a kind of silence that speaks louder than any retaliation. I want you to picture this. You've stumbled. Maybe it was a failure in business, a divorce, a health scare, something that left you vulnerable, raw, exposed. And someone was there, not to help, not to offer kindness, but simply to witness your lowest point. They didn't say anything cruel. They didn't offer comfort either. They just watched. And when you finally stood back up, they told others casually, quietly, how far you had fallen. As if your collapse defined you. As if that one moment erased everything you had ever built. This kind of person doesn't want to see you destroyed. They want to see you smaller, less powerful, less certain, because your strength made them uncomfortable from the start. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When someone wrongs you, it's not the act that harms you, but your opinion of it." What if I told you, their satisfaction in your struggle says more about them than it ever could about you? You see people like that, they don't hate you. They hate what you reflect: resilience, courage, independence. So when you fall, they feel momentarily vindicated. See, they whisper inside, "You're not better than me after all." But the truth is, you never were trying to be. And here's the most powerful thing you can do: don't defend, don't explain, don't prove. Because rising quietly is louder than any speech. I had a client once, an older man, a widower who went through financial collapse in his 60s. He told me, "I realized the people I thought would reach out just watched me go down. But now that I've rebuilt, they act like they were cheering me on the whole time." And do you know what he did? He smiled, not bitter, not vengeful. He just said, "They'll never understand what it cost me to get here." And that's okay. That's Stoic power. You rise not for revenge, not for recognition, but because staying down was never who you were. So let them remember your fall. You remember your rise. Who surprised you the most when you hit your lowest point? Who stayed and who only watched? Your insight may help someone else see clearly. Share in the comments. If this hit home for you, like this video, subscribe to help us hit 1K subs and keep sharing Stoic wisdom. Share it with someone who's quietly rising again. Lesson 8. The kindness that isn't kind, when praise becomes poison. Have you ever received a compliment that made you uneasy? It sounded nice, but something in the tone, in the timing, in the subtle undertone made your gut tighten. You're doing great for someone your age. That was a brave choice. I wouldn't have had the guts. You look better. Have you lost weight? You used to look so tired. These are not compliments. They're camouflaged criticism. They're meant to leave a dent. Not on the surface, but deeper in your confidence, in your perception of self. This is how toxic minds operate. Not with daggers, but with sugar-coated blades. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." And how much time have we wasted second-guessing ourselves because of what others didn't quite say, but implied? A Stoic learns to pause in moments like these, not to react, but to observe. Is this kindness or is it control? Is this encouragement? Or a way to position themselves above you? Because sometimes people lift you up only high enough to push you off the ledge later. I remember a woman in her 60s who told me, "My sister always gives me advice with a smile, but I leave the conversation feeling smaller." That's the mark of toxic encouragement. It's not designed to grow you. It's designed to keep you in your place. So what do? We don't fight. We don't throw back subtle insults. We strengthen the wall between us and their opinion. Their words don't build you. Their words don't define you. Their words don't belong in your sacred space. You know who you are. Let that be louder than any smile that stings. Lesson 9. Why they can't handle your calm and why you must keep it. People who rely on chaos hate your calm. Your stillness frustrates them. Your refusal to react, to argue, to match their volume, it threatens them in a way they can't explain. Because when you stop engaging with their drama, you're no longer giving them what they need, most control. A Stoic does not deny emotion. We feel deeply, but we don't give emotions the driver's seat. Epictetus taught, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond." And sometimes the most powerful response is no response. I had a close friend once. Whenever there was tension, she'd raise her voice, slam the door, demand an answer now. When I began practicing Stoic stillness breathing before speaking, pausing before reacting, she grew angry. "Why are you so cold?" she asked. "Why don't you care?" But I cared deeply. I just stopped allowing her chaos to dictate my state. And that's what people like that don't understand. Calm is not distance. It's strength. When you refuse to escalate, when you walk away instead of engaging, you're not surrendering. You're preserving your energy for things that matter. Let them rage, let them storm. You hold the line within. Your stillness will confuse them. It may even cost you certain relationships. But the peace it brings, unmeasurable, unshakable, and completely yours. Have you lost relationships because you stopped reacting? Tell us how staying calm changed your life. Your story might inspire someone. Love this kind of reflection. Like the video, subscribe, and help us reach 1,000 peaceful warriors. Share it with someone who's learning to breathe before they speak. Lesson 10. When they try to diminish you by making you doubt what you've built. Have you ever felt someone trying to shrink your world? Not by taking something from you, but by making you question what you already have. It happens slowly. You build something, your peace, your reputation, your work. You're proud of it. Not in an arrogant way, but in the quiet way of someone who knows what it cost. And then they say things like, "Well, it's not that impressive. I mean, anyone could have done it. You just got lucky, right?" They don't tear down your house. They loosen the bricks of your belief. Toxic people don't always try to destroy what you've built. They simply make you feel like it was never real to begin with. Why? Because your foundation reminds them of everything they've never laid for themselves. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." But I'd add something for our modern world. If it is not yours, do not let it inside your mind. When someone sows doubt into your soil, don't water it. Don't argue. Don't defend. Don't try to win them over. A Stoic builds silently and protects quietly. You don't need everyone to see your roots to know they run deep. I once knew a man who in his 70s built a small woodworking studio after retirement. It brought him joy and pride. His own brother said, "What's the point? You're not selling anything." He didn't respond. He just kept carving. Years later, that man's work would become part of community exhibitions, not for profit, but for meaning. He told me once, "My brother still doesn't understand, but I no longer need him to." That's the moment you know you're free. When their opinions can pass through your mind and leave no trace. Protect your work. Protect your joy. You don't owe anyone the shrinking of your soul. What's the most powerful way you've responded to negativity, with silent success or something else? Let's learn from each other. Comment your quiet victories below. Help us grow this Stoic space. Like this video, subscribe, and be part of our first 1,000 supporters. Share this with someone who doesn't need to explain, they just live better. So if any part of this video made you pause, made you feel seen, or helped you find even a small piece of yourself again, then this space is for you. This channel isn't built on noise or drama. It's built on silent strength and souls like yours who are still growing, still standing, still choosing peace. Thank you for spending your time here with me. Before you go, like the video if it spoke to you, subscribe, help us reach our first 1,000 people who walk this path, share this with someone who needs to know they're not alone. I'll see you in the next reflection. Until then, walk gently and carry your calm like armor.